All right, guys, so let's pop over to the backfield. Absolute disaster. Kind of messy, kind of gross. That's why we're shooting an entire new video, because it got all jacked up. Scott, talk to us about it.
Yeah, so if we would have recorded this a month ago, it would have probably been, who do you prefer between Ronald Jones and Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Both at a time, I believe, were top 35, top 40 running backs. And it actually was looking like a pretty good 1-2 punch where you're going like, hey, I want to have either one of these guys, and I'll just kind of go with whatever one ends up having startable weeks, but I want both of them. So now it's turned into, obviously they brought back McKinnon. I've been kind of an antagonist on McKinnon because basically they brought him in last year. He only had 25 touches the entire regular season, yet I think he had 48 touches in the postseason. So you're going like, okay, are they even planning on using this guy for anything during the season when we actually care for fantasy? Or is he just, we get in the playoffs, we know we can use him in like a 1 or 2 game spurt where we need him. So I'm not sure how fantasy relevant he is, but they brought him back for a reason. And I think that he's going to be annoying, but he's not going to be somebody I really want unless like the entire rest of the backfield clears out. And then obviously we have to talk about Pacheco. I mean, I'm just in a startup right now where Pacheco went as the top Chiefs back off the board. He has jumped into like the top 12 rounds of redraft leagues. And I know this is a Dynasty podcast, but redraft can kind of tell you like how people are seeing the order of these guys. And it's, CEH and Pacheco. And then I don't take another Chiefs back ever. Maybe I pick up McKinnon in the last round. Ronald Jones is barely getting picked outside of probably the top 60 running backs in Dynasty. I want a piece of the Chiefs backfield, but it could end up being Ronald Jones and McKinnon. I'll take those guys for free, but we might be looking at a reset totally if they don't make the team. So I'm almost out on the backfield, even though that's probably a bad decision, given that we probably want a Chiefs running back week to week.
And guys, I should also say that support for this episode, this show of Dynasty Trades in 5, is none other than Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. These products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TRADESIN5. That's the code TRADESIN5 at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that is 12 million balls. So, Shane, we'll kick it to you, but would you guys give a 23-second for any of these guys?
No.
I think I'd be okay doing it for Edwards-Helaire, but that's only on very specific teams, and it would probably be a team where I have a couple extra seconds and I can trade a late one. But no, the more that I think about it, what is my incentive to make that move right now when I can probably make the same move a week after the season starts?
Right, but you would sell any of them likely for a 23-second if you get that offer. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Pacheco hype, and it went from this cute little like, oh look at us hyping him up. It's a cute little camp story, and now he's running with the ones. Pacheco and a third to get me a second all day, and I guarantee you'll get it done. We love underdog stories in fantasy football, and for some reason we love guys that we look at analytically and go, well, he can't hit because, well, he shouldn't because he was terrible in college. And Pacheco was, terrible in college. The only place that he was decent is he had a 59% dominator rate, 59 percentile, excuse me. His college target share, really low. His college yards per carry, extremely low. And he's fast. And just looking at player profile or just looking at the player he comps to, and it's funny because it's a player that I loved and I talked myself into, Anthony McFarland.
Oh, God.
So even if he is good, he's the 1 in the 10 that's going to be good. This is one of those players, the process is always a sell because you're banking on the other 90% of the time. These players do not hit. You will survive if you trade Isiah Pacheco for a second and he turns into running back one season. I promise you will survive. And that's not even the most likely outcome. The most likely outcome is you trade him for a second, and by week 6, Damian Williams was brought back from the Bears, Atlanta Falcons, or wherever the hell he is, and he's leading their backfield now. That has the same range of outcomes as Isiah Pacheco being a running back one next year. Trust the process here.
He's fast, and he's number 10. there is going to be some bias where people see it. I don't even think the price has peaked yet before the season. Imagine the day before roster cut downs are due and they cut Ronald Jones. Then imagine the hype on Pacheco. You're going like, oh, he beat out a former, top 70 pick that has been good in the NFL. So I think there's actually still a ceiling for him to get to from his price before we get to the start of the year.
Would you buy him for a third?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Would you spend 2/3 on him? Why not?
Yes.
Yeah, I think for what Shane said, because I think I can sell him for maybe even more than what people are selling for him now. So I want him. I just don't want to have him when he gets into the year and then you expect him to actually produce something.
Pacheco or Miles Sanders?
Miles Sanders.
I look at Shane and I don't know if his pause was he's not sure or
I know he's already sounds so sad with his voice tonight. I wanted to that was selfish on my part.
I'm fading Miles Sanders, obviously. I just dropped the article on Fantasy Data explaining why, and it was very good. But that said, he's got a much better shot of being producing this year than Isiah Pacheco.
I think that if you can get Pacheco and a second for one of these guys that you can't get a first for, you could justify that. Because again, it's almost like I expect I can probably move Pacheco for some form of a second, whether that's a 23 or a 24, if I want. But there's also a potential where we come opening day and I can get a second and a third or 2 seconds. And I don't know if Shane's reaction was like, I can't believe you just asked Miles Sanders versus Isiah Pacheco, but it's not a horrible, like you could throw out some other names, Clay, and I'd be like Damian Harris or Isiah Pacheco.
Right.
I mean,
that was just more the sadness of where Miles Sanders is falling, right. And that it wasn't an instant in my brain. It wasn't an instant Miles Sanders. It was literally like, well, there is a path where Pacheco is going to have more value than Miles Sanders. That was more of a sadness and hurt inside.
So, Scott, would you give up any third for Ronald Jones?
I like my thirds because I think they can buy me spot starts. And I like Ronald Jones because of the backfield. But I don't think you necessarily have to pay the third right now. May get cut. There's been multiple people that have said Ronald Jones will get flat out cut from the roster in lieu of the other guys we've talked about. But Shane, the more important question is, can Manscaped help Ronald Jones alleviate getting cut?
Look, Manscaped can't stop Ronald Jones from getting cut from the Chiefs, but it can stop his balls from getting cut. They have ceramic blade. It reduces grooming accidents. And I don't know about you, but some of us have used beard and mustache trimmers before on our balls, and we've cut ourselves. Nothing more embarrassing than explaining to someone when you take off your pants later in the evening why you have all these bandages on your balls. It's an uncomfortable conversation that you don't want to have with someone, especially when it's the first time you're trying to have some intimacy with them. Definitely get Manscaped and use that instead of the beard or mustache trimmer. You don't want to cut your balls.
For sure. And I should say too, when you get the package in the mail, it's this beautiful package. It's like, when you get a product from Apple and everything is nice and shiny and new.
Absolutely.
When I got that Manscaped package, I was like, this is legit. My balls are going to thank me. So get 20% off and free worldwide shipping by using the code TRADESIN5 at manscaped.com. Again, that's TRADESIN5 at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you, and so will Shane. CEH, let's get a baseline by going over a couple trades on him. So positional pivot, would you rather have CEH or Dawson Knox? And it's a 1.5 tight end premium.
Knox.
I guess I'll take Knox. He actually has some resale value on the market, so Knox.
CEH and a 2023 third or Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Amon.
Yeah, St. Brown.
Is that pretty easy?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
What if it were CEH and a 23 second or Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Amon.
That's closer. I mean, I could see you saying, okay, Amon-Ra St. Brown's probably never worth a first. So is that the best I can get? Especially if I'm going with one of these, like I don't have any good running backs. I just want to get as many as I can. I'd probably lean Amon-Ra, but I can see where someone would take the CEH side.
Yeah, see, I think I could get a 24 first for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think I'd have to actually have blackmail material on someone to get a 24 first out of them for CEH.
And what about CEH or Pacheco?
Straight up.
Yeah.
Right.
One has a chance to go way up, and one you just said 2 minutes ago doesn't have probably a great chance to go up no matter honestly, what he does.
Yeah, I'd have to take Pacheco right now because if he's the week 1 starter, I'm going to be able to sell him for a bucket load of stuff.
CEH and a 23-second projected early, or Antonio Gibson?
Honestly, I really want to buy Gibson. So that's closer for me than I think the market. But at the 23-second, if you're saying is projected high, that's about what Gibson's worth. So it's almost like you're getting CEH as a free throw-in. So I think I take the package. Process. That's a process trade of unsexy players.
Yeah, give me the pick and the player. He can recoup some value. And there's still a path to it, right? Like we've talked about Isiah Pacheco being a fun little camp story. But he didn't produce in college. So there's no guarantee that he can actually produce. And he was, a 7th round pick? 6th round pick? Whatever he was, it wasn't great, Bob. Ronald Jones, obviously, is apparently on the roster bubble. And Jerick McKinnon, as fun as he is, I don't think has ever played more than 4 games in a row since the late 70s. So it can happen. Do I think it'll happen? No, but it can happen.
I think he's now relegated to just being one of those, I guess, running back bodies on a roster to where he's probably worth more to you than he would be on the open trade market. And he's probably going to be that way until let's say he went out and just was a top 20 running back this year. I still don't think his value would get to a point, especially with the 23 class coming in, where it's like, okay, I'm willing to move a first for him. But he just becomes one of those guys where he's probably like worth 2 seconds or something like that, but never a first. So you have to decide, like, is this the time to liquidate? And the answer will probably be yes, yes, yes. Like, if you can get 2 seconds for him, do it, because if he's a top 20 running back, that's probably his best season ever. And just get out and take 2 more running backs next year with similar profiles or guys that are going into their 4th year. Like, you should be able to buy a couple guys like him for those seconds. So, yeah, I don't think he's on his way up, but I can see a path where he is worth more to you than what he's costing on the open market. I mean, he's going outside the top 35, 40 running backs and some startups. So like if you have the right build, I don't hate taking a shot on him, but you're not drafting running backs in that range for the resale price. Unless it's like a rookie. You know, if you're drafting Isaiah Spiller or someone like that, okay, I can see some resale price next year, but you're not drafting that guy for really any expectation in 2022. So it's just how do you want to use your chips? And I like to probably diversify. I don't want all CEHs in that range because I could just be drawing dead with all of them.